The time is now to architect a life of excellence. What will we do? Who will we become? We decide today. This is Learn, Do, Become Radio with April and Eric Perry. Let's move onward and upward together.
Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. It's April Perry here.
And Eric Perry also at her side, ready to share some awesome things together.
We're excited to talk about how to renegotiate with ourselves today. But first, I just want to share that Eric and I don't naturally wake up in the morning and say, hey, we're in such a good mood. Let's go podcast together.
April frequently wakes up in a good mood wanting to podcast. She loves podcasting. I don't mind it, but it is definitely not the easiest thing for us to say, let's do this together on the same day. Always be in sync and be in the same mood, the same energy, all that good stuff.
And I only bring this up because I've heard some feedback from people who say, well, you guys make things look so easy and you just work so well together and it's just all smooth sailing for you guys.
That's because we hide all the warts and wrinkles and ugly stuff. We hide it every day.
So we thought, you know what? We need to share more about our journey, but also we want you to feel encouraged because no matter how frustrated we get with each other or no matter how much it seems like we can't move forward, we figure it out.
It's interesting too, like a little side take on this is, like in the STEP program that April's created, and there's thousands of awesome people doing great things, moving their lives forward. I'm afraid that a lot of people don't come into that program because of it. We actually saw a post that's been really getting a ton of comments on it. And it's this amazing person who's come in, got the program maybe a week or less ago. And she had a bedroom that she just described. It's overwhelming. It's covered top to bottom with all kinds of stuff. And then she puts up an after picture that she achieved maybe in a day or two of really consistent effort. And I think a lot of people said well, I've never posted pictures because I couldn't imagine there's anyone out there who's worse off than I am or has it all, everything just completely blown apart. And I think that's a great misconception is that most of us have big ugly piles in our lives, whether it's physical or mental or emotional.
Yeah.
And I think we tend not to want to share things because, we're so much worse than anyone else out there that no one could ever possibly understand it. There's no way, the STEP system, for example, could help solve that problem for that person. But it was actually fascinating, all the comments that are coming in. It's got one of the most
Hundreds,
comments
right.
in a 48-hour period, hundreds of comments coming in saying, oh, I'm so grateful you shared that. I didn't think anyone was as bad off as I am. And not that they're saying she's worse.
Yeah.
It's they feel justified or vindicated
but
a little better.
they feel comforted.
But it's okay,
alone.
all of us have different ways that there are piles or challenges or difficulties in our lives. And so April and I are going to be as candid and as clear as possible in all the aspects of our lives as we share in this podcast, as we share in the different...
Without whining.
...resources. Yeah, we don't want to be
complaining.
Negative or drain energy, but we want to make sure that it's really clear that, all of us everywhere have different challenges that we're facing, trying to overcome. And that really is the whole reason behind Learn, Do, Become. It's the reason why we're going to talk about a new opportunity here coming up that we're excited to develop. They're going to help gather a big part of our community together to go through a process month by month by month, working to improve ourselves. And we all want to be in that program. We want to be in that kind of community together, growing and improving ourselves. So does that make sense? Right.
Yeah. So, it's kind of a random opening, but here's what you can expect on today's podcast. Number one, we are going to share just a few ideas that hopefully will help you as you're learning to accept, understand your own limitations and be able to renegotiate with yourself so that your brain still feels okay, I can progress even though everything isn't perfect. So we're going to talk about that.
Because April and I renegotiate with our own selves daily, and we renegotiate with each other as a couple and a little bit as a family every day as well.
Yeah.
Renegotiation is a natural and necessary part of life.
Right. So we're going to share a few ideas on how to actually do that. And then we're going to talk about a new program, a new membership that we're excited to launch soon. We're not saying exactly when yet. Eric and I are talking a lot about this, trying to figure
out what's the best way to do this
without killing each other.
Being on the same page, being aligned. So this is, again, another example of renegotiation.
Yeah.
But we're thinking this great community opportunity will come out probably in the early part of 2019. February, March, we'll see. We're just trying to figure it all out. But
just don't give a date right now.
It's never coming out. Don't anticipate it.
Right now, we're in the brainstorming phase, but we want to involve you in that as part of our community. So, all right. As we're talking about renegotiating with ourselves, the reason why we believe this is important is because often we create lists or we create expectations for ourselves, or we have some kind of a goal that we're working towards. And then we feel like we are utter failures. We're never going to make it. We get so frustrated, and that often leads to discouragement, maybe depression, anxiety, frustration, and you just feel like, I can't do anything right. Okay. Now, obviously, there's a lot of distortion going on there, but we're going to talk about a few things that have been helpful to us. Some things Eric has taught me, some things that we've learned from books or from other professionals.
Something as April has taught me.
Some things I've taught Eric.
You often say that I'm the one who teaches everything. And like, I'm actually the one who gets taught a lot by April, the things she listens to, the things she reads. And that's another renegotiation. Like, how do we share the good information we find and stuff? So it's a collaborative learning experience, and we hope to be able to share some things with you. And we hope through Learn to Become and these podcasts and things, you'll share things you've learned with us. So we're all growing together.
All right. So what we're going to talk about are 3 ideas. First one is redefining failure. Second is learning to separate what matters and what doesn't matter. And then third is getting creative in how we renegotiate. So let's just start with number 1, because this is one, Eric, that you have helped me with. It's redefining failure. I have a tendency toward black and white thinking, and I have a hard time seeing myself as a work in progress. So oftentimes Eric will hear me saying things like, I'm failing as a wife, I'm failing as a mother, I'm failing in this thing, or I didn't get that one task done, I'm a failure. Like, I have a tendency to label myself as a, quote, failure often, and that's something I am changing. I don't know if you've noticed that, but in my language, I've stopped saying that.
I was going to say, no, you don't have that challenge.
but I have a lot in the past. So Eric...
But it's improving. We're getting better.
It is. Well, I mean, maybe you can just reiterate what you typically tell me. Whenever I say something like, I'm failing.
It's all situational specific. You can't just throw that at me. It's all depending on what thing you just feel like you failed at, what your mood is. There's a lot of variables that if you have a supportive spouse or a friend or a family member, like hopefully you have that person or can find someone to kind of put in that position, because they'll know you really well. They can sense your energy. They can sense kind of that mentality that you've got going on, that mindset, and be able to give you some words of encouragement. So people saying like, tell me what you tell me in those moments. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but it's tailored a little bit. Like, we've had thousands of these conversations over the 20 years of marriage.
Okay, you're right.
But I think it's important, because I bring that up because there's not just a one conversation, like there's a one script we could put up here as a little worksheet at the end of this podcast, that if somebody follows this script, they can talk someone out of feeling like they failed.
Right.
It's just being able to point someone back to how much good they're doing,
right,
how well they're doing generally in so many areas of their life, and the progress they have made or are making. Just, it's refocusing on the positive. And this isn't just me for you. Like, you've done that with me plenty of times as well. Like, we all go through highs and lows in our lives. And I think it's just being able to have someone there who can just kind of give you a little bit of encouragement. And if that person isn't there for you right now, we hope maybe this podcast, for example, can help maybe give you some mindset shifts and some kind of positive energy and thinking and encouragement to say, okay, I am doing okay. I'm not failing. We might fall short, but I think there's lots of definitions of failure. But I think failure is the time when you fall down and you don't keep getting back up. Not that you should get back up on the same task that's never going to go anywhere. That's just being able to identify, this is not the direction I want to go. But if you're moving in the direction you want and you keep falling down, it's okay. Take a second, gather your strength, but push back up and keep moving forward, recognizing all the positive that you've got going in life.
I wrote an article over at Power of Moms a few years ago called How to Renegotiate with Yourself, and I listed all of the things that I wanted to get done before having an event at our home. We were having a productivity organization event, and we had, I think, like 10 people who were coming to our house to learn how to do this. And I had this list of things like my
10
weekly...
bullet points.
It was like my weekly menu totally planned, groceries purchased, fridge scoured, veggies chopped, everything's put into the pantry in airtight containers, laundry totally done, office cleaned out and organized in case anyone who came to our house wanted to walk up into my office, because I thought, well, I have to practice what I preach. I wanted the carpets steam cleaned. I wanted the car washed and vacuumed in case anybody walked by the car and saw it while they were coming by. I wanted the dying plants on our front porch replaced. I wanted to redecorate the downstairs bathroom, get frames, make that look pretty.
Who killed those plants, by the way?
I killed the plants. House scoured top to bottom. My planner more organized. All the printouts made. So I had this list.
Is anyone out there listening to this exhausted just hearing that list? And like, really, who cares?
It was awful. It was
Wouldn't
awful.
you rather come to someone's house and see that their bathroom isn't like perfectly spick and span, and there's a couple piles of laundry, and the car maybe isn't like totally shining? So I think it's like we set expectations way too high for ourselves sometimes, because Really, what was the off chance someone was going to want to go see your office or your car?
I know, and I'd set myself up to really kill myself. So I included what I did to renegotiate with myself, where my mom actually had a chance to come out and visit and stay the night with me. So I took her with me to the store. I just bought what we needed for the weekend. I did a little bit of laundry, put the baskets upstairs. We didn't even fold it. I put the kids in charge of that. Didn't even try to do the office. I spot cleaned the carpet because I couldn't find someone who could come actually clean it. I took the car through the $6 car wash at the gas station instead of cleaning it myself. I trimmed the dying plants, but then I didn't worry about them because I realized, you know what, people who are coming here are not looking to see how good I am at gardening. They're learning about organization. I cleaned the downstairs bathroom, but I didn't redecorate it, and really just gave myself a chance to breathe.
Oh, you're going to say you cleaned the sink, but not the toilet. You just kind of went half and half.
I mean, I did kind of a basic job. But instead of expecting myself to do everything perfect, I just did what I could. And in the past, I would have thought, oh, I'm a failure because I didn't get everything done.
The list wasn't done to a T.
Right, but...
And I'd like to think, I don't remember the specific event, but I'd like to think I was somewhat helpful in some of these things.
I'm sure you were, but you were working a full-time job at the time. And
but
so...
It's not like you had to do it all. I'm just over here like...
Well, it was Eric was
plants.
gone a lot because he had a full-time job and you were doing volunteer work in our community and at church. So you really weren't home a lot at that point. And I just had this idea that I was going to be a superwoman and get everything done. So just being able to redefine failure in our minds and recognizing like there really is no failure. Like you say this for people in the STEP program all the time. There's no falling off the wagon because there is no wagon. Like you're progressing.
The wagon's not moving away without you. Like it is a process. You get into it, and as soon as you start it, you can move at your own pace. Get the results that you want as you define them. There's not a standard of you've succeeded if you do this, but you failed if you haven't. And we build STEP and the programs that we're going to be building in the future and the things we do it that way on purpose because nobody needs a guilt trip. No one needs to feel like they don't measure up. No one needs to feel left behind because that isn't real, right? We move at the speed of our determination, the speed of our commitment, the speed of our desire. And so if we can just kind of get those things kind of bolstered, some days those will be a little off and you're not going to make much progress. It doesn't mean you're a failure. You just rekindle the energy, rebuild the fire, and keep moving on.
So point number 2 goes really well with point number 1, where it's learning to separate...
You were going to tell the chili story?
Well, you want me to tell the chili story?
Chili story is hilarious.
Okay, maybe... Really?
It's awesome.
Okay.
So for a community gathering right around Halloween, there was supposed to be like this big group activity, trunk or treat, all that kind of stuff. And there was like this panic message that went out saying, oh, we're going to be short on chili.
No chili.
It was a potluck event. We're not going to have enough chili. So there's like this distress call made. And so April's like, oh, no. And so was this the Wendy's chili day or did you make your own?
No, the next year I went to Wendy's and got chili. But what happened is that I freaked out. So I spent the entire morning making chili and I made a double batch because I was trying to be doubly helpful. But then the double batch didn't fit in the crock pot. I spilled chili all over my nightgown. I was so grumpy at the family and our whole day, pretty much.
It was a good day.
It was surrounded around this chili pot.
The shadow, the pall that chili cast on Halloween.
And as our family showed up at the event, holding, this prize, my chili, in my arms.
If you go to Power of Mom, she posted the photo of the actual event.
Yeah.
There actually are 30 crock pots of chili that ended up getting brought there as a
Everyone
distress call.
heard the distress call.
And there was we took most of our chili. I think almost all the chili.
I don't think anyone even ate it.
Back home because hardly anybody needed that much chili. So most people took their chili back home. So the next year we learned, we renegotiated.
We went to Wendy's.
And we went to Wendy's. We got like 3 or 4 of their little containers and dumped them into a crock pot to make it look homemade. We're not deceptive at all.
And then we entered the chili contest.
We entered the chili contest and we got a strong second place finish.
They're like, is this Wendy's chili?
And it's delicious. Thank you very much.
So I never did that again. But the thing is, if I hadn't learned, that experience, it was a time I did not renegotiate with myself. I was tired. I was grumpy. It was a hard day, and I continued to push forward and make that chili, and it didn't help anyone. It was actually ridiculous. So I've never done a chili contest since then. I seriously go to Wendy's every time. Okay, so that was the chili story.
This part of the podcast paid promotionally by Wendy's Incorporated.
Okay, so jumping on to number 2.
I was kidding about that.
Well, it's learning how to separate what matters and what doesn't matter. Now, using that chili example, yes, like our friend down the street participated in the chili contest this year. He got up early, he sauteed onions and garlic and worked all day making this awesome chili that won the contest, and he loved it. It was fun for him because he enjoyed cooking.
So what if the third place winner did the same thing and we cut him out of a second place finish? We should give the room back.
But if that's something fun for him and he enjoys it, that's awesome.
Yeah,
but
if it matters to you, invest in it. If it doesn't, don't feel the pressure societally to get sucked into a bunch of this stuff.
But there's a difference between the ideal and then what's really necessary right now. And I actually was listening to the Feeling Good podcast by Dr. Burns at like 4 o'clock this morning because I woke up and I couldn't go back to bed. So I was listening to it.
Because that's what we all do at 4 o'clock in the morning.
And they were speaking about this exactly. So I screenshotted it like in my sleep. So I'll post that with the show notes. Come to the show notes page.
You are so weird sometimes.
I know. LearnDoBecome.com/radio. You can see all our episode show notes.
/4 a.m. photos of
4 a.m.
screenshots.
photos of Dr. Burns' podcast. But what they did is they helped me understand the language that you can use, because you can say something like, oh, it would be preferable if we could have all of our Christmas gifts, for example, ready way in advance. And it'd be preferable if all the cards could be sent in November. But,
or it would be helpful if you could show up and help referee or help take care of the janitorial for this community event. But if you can't, if it really is going to create more strain than be an opportunity and a blessing, renegotiate it. Like, try to figure out a different way to contribute later on, but don't get squeezed in and feel like this angst and frustration the whole time you're doing whatever you're doing.
Right. So I'm starting to use that language now where I'd say, oh, it'd be preferable if this and this and this could happen. You know, that type of thing. I like that. I want to talk a little bit about our great big pile of holiday mirth. We talked about it in the podcast that I recorded with our team as we talked about holiday spontaneity versus structure. But I just want to share a little bit more about that with Eric from his perspective.
Because it's one of the best holiday ideas ever conceived, but people give me a hard time for it.
It was about 2 years ago, and I got a concussion in late November. And I physically could not do Christmas. So I didn't have the energy to be up and about. I couldn't wrap gifts. I couldn't even think through things or plan. So Eric was in charge of Christmas.
The pre-moral of this story is never allow your spouse or significant other to be in charge of Christmas festivities when you do it better.
So we had done one trip to Costco where both of us were there and we bought a few things. And we had been planning to give our children a trip. We did end up going on a family trip to Israel. So that was like the big gift, is that we were doing it in April, but we did give it as a little gift certificate for Christmas. So we weren't looking to spend a lot of money on the kids or buy a whole lot of stuff necessarily, but I was looking for that Christmas morning magic. So Eric, you want to share how you made the Christmas morning magical?
I made it magic. It was very magical. So I think I actually picked up a few more little things around town. Not much, but we weren't trying to overwhelm them with new gifts. Part of my gift-giving philosophy is when I see something that I know someone will really appreciate or needs or would benefit from, and that includes our kids, I get excited about getting it if it's in the budget, if it's kind of part of a bigger plan, but I like to get it and then not wait till the birthday or not wait till Christmas or that holiday to give it to them. So I usually am a pretty throughout the year gift giver. So what I did with a great big pile of holiday mirth is I gathered all the things the kids had gotten that were significant. I'm not talking about all socks and underwear and pencils, but anything meaningful, maybe a new pair of shoes for the basketball team they made, or some other things like that we'd gotten over the course of the year. I gathered all the big items and kind of put them in a huge pile
including
around the bottom
our dog
of the tree. We'd gotten a puppy earlier that year, so the puppy's grown quite a bit. So at the Christmas morning, I just had our puppy Sunny lay down next to the tree, but there's a lot of stuff around the tree, and it was more than anything kind of a visual recognition and an affirmation that I'm look, you
don't need more stuff.
Well, it's not about even that. It's look, we have been you have things that you've been given. They're blessings in your life.
Yeah.
And there were some new things as well, but the big downfall, I guess, is I decided I'm not wrapping a single thing. I actually woke up our then 14, 15-year-old daughter in her sleep trying to find the gear bag and the pair of shoes that we'd gotten her for the basketball
He's under
team.
her bed at 11 o'clock at night with a flashlight.
With a phone flashlight, trying to find the stuff, trying not to wake her up. But I wanted to pull all this stuff because she wakes up, and apparently she doesn't fall back to sleep very easily, which thing I find out the next morning, she's cranky all Christmas Day.
She's so mad.
And I'm like, Grace, where are your shoes? Where's the bag? What?
And then
what
she comes out Christmas morning, and all of the stuff that had been under her bed is now under the tree.
Arranged beautifully.
And you printed out a sign that said, great big pile of holiday mirth, or something like that. Had the sign. And the wrapping paper was in the corner of the room in case they wanted to wrap their own presents later.
They wanted the thrill of unwrapping something. I had a roll of wrapping paper and some tape there. I'm saving the environment little by little there.
Oh my gosh.
So many ways this thing wins.
So as he's doing this, I am laying on the couch with my concussion, just watching it in horror.
It's
Eric.
How can I stop this horrible catastrophe? It was awesome. But I think the kids wanted the whole thrill of opening something new and unexpected. So if I ever do this, if I ever get the chance to do this again, if April ever concusses again, I'm going to get like a blanket or something or a sheet and cover the holiday pile of mirth, because I played the role then of what's called the mirth administrator.
Yeah.
And so kids would pick up something. If they didn't know who it went to, I could then tell them. See, I'm saving on labels.
He sat
even.
in a little chair very officially and said, I am the mirth administrator.
And so kids could go to the pile and pick up something, and if it happened not to be for them, they had to give it to the person it was for.
And so you spent, what, maybe half an hour on this?
This was not a whole lot of time.
It was not a whole lot of time.
It was a lot of fun.
Well, but the thing is, the reason why I think this is important, the reason I brought this up under what matters and what doesn't matter, is for us, really, the magic of Christmas morning, it is so fun. But that's really not the whole point of a holiday for us. And at the end of the day, I mean, our family looks back on it like, remember that year we had the big pile of
It's the Christmas they talk about the most, and it's the one they remember what they got
Our
the
11-year-old's
most.
like, can we please never do the pile of mirth again? But you know what?
They'll grow into it.
It was fine. It was totally fine. And sometimes I
And there
think...
were a few new gifts, as well as a recognition of all the stuff they had in their lives. So,
Yeah.
like, no one went away
It turned
empty-handed.
out
No one was
great.
sad.
Yes. But the thing is, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day where their family just opened a new store. She's been really busy over there every morning at 5:30 in the morning. And as we're getting closer to the holidays, she just said, it's just been stressful because I can't do everything this year. And as we talked about it more, she said, really, it's the expectations I put on myself. My family gets it. If we just talk to the family and say, hey, this year we opened this new store, this is what's going on. But I think, and I don't know if it's more women who do this, but whether it's men or women, when we put too many expectations on ourselves, particularly for things that really don't matter in the end, like my plants out on the front porch that I wanted perfect
Maybe I'll
for my
contact
event.
this friend and volunteer to do the great big pile of holiday mirth
I
for
think
them.
you could go be their mirth administrator.
No charge.
You know what? I'm going to see if we can find a photo of that tree with a sign.
Oh,
I think I have
I
it.
took lots
Okay.
of them. I'm
We'll-
like, this is a Christmas
We'll post
to remember.
that with the show notes. So come visit the website.
And if any of you want the ideas on how to do it most effectively, you just let us
Just
know.
in the comments.
I will give you the whole framework of how to run a pile of holiday mirth seamlessly.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Okay, so number 3, we'll move in. Getting creative in how you renegotiate. Now, I think the Great Big Pile of Holiday Mirth is a great example of how to get creative with that. I'm going to share just a couple other examples of things that I've done this year that have been helpful because, again, this year I got all my holiday planning done early and I was feeling like, I'm totally on my game. And then I spent about 8 days in bed. I got some virus or something. I was just sick to my stomach, and then I was tired, and I didn't really have symptoms. Like, I didn't have a fever, I didn't have a cold, but I was just laying in bed for about 8 days. And that put me really behind because I didn't get all the Christmas cards out that I wanted to. I didn't get all the gifts prepared that I wanted to. I had this vision in my mind of everything I wanted. And then being sick for that many days just didn't help. So I'm just going to share 2 things that I did. And then if you want to add anything else on getting creative. So number 1, we have an awesome team at Power of Moms who I adore. And typically at the end of the year, I write like a handwritten card to each person, or at least I'd wanted to this year. But as I was looking at how many days we had until the holiday, and I thought, I'm so stressed out over everything I need to do. I need to figure out how to make it simpler. So I just opened up my phone and opened up my voice memo app and recorded a simple voice memo just saying, hey, I care so much about you. I really appreciate you. I've spent 8 days in bed and been really sick. And so I thought I would record this voice memo as a way to let you know how much I care about you. And while I'm not sending a card, I hope that maybe you'll do the same thing, put the time towards resting or doing what you really need to do to replenish instead of feeling like you have to check off more boxes. And so I just sent a simple voice memo. Nobody was mad at me. No one stopped being my friend. It turned out just fine. And then another thing I did is in our church organization, I'm working over several groups of women, and we want to do something for them to show them how much we appreciate them. And we were sitting in a meeting thinking, okay, what could we do for all of these great volunteers and the people who are helping? And as we started thinking about gift ideas and how we would deliver it, I mean, it was going to be hours of coordination and work for probably something not that awesome because we didn't know even what we were giving. So we decided to record ourselves singing a special song to them, a little Christmas carol, and we did it on a video and then uploaded the video to Google Drive and just sent the link. So that's all it was. It was singing that took about 30 seconds. Uploading the video took about a minute and a half. And then we sent out the link. And yes, it wasn't a gift wrapped in a bow, but it let them know how much we care about them. And it was done simply. So those are just a couple creative ways, using voice memos or videos or something like that. There's a lot of ways that you can do things quickly and easily. Anything else you want to add on that?
No.
Okay. So anyway, those are just our ideas to help you hopefully be able to renegotiate with yourself. And we're not here saying, hey, we have all the ideas, but hopefully this can spark some ideas. So if you actually sit down and write down what your expectations are of yourselves that maybe might be causing some stress, then thinking creatively, hopefully you can find some ways to make that feel just a little lighter so you don't feel so overwhelmed.
Well, one of the kind of capping thought on getting creative on how you negotiate. Like I realized that all three of the points, we've talked about renegotiating means taking something you'd planned to do or wanted to do and doing something different or something lesser, right?
Yeah.
There's also another option of not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
And that's, I think you just have to step back. And I know it's a hard decision for human beings to make because non-action or not doing something, not making some effort feels like,
feels like you don't care.
Right. And that may not necessarily be the case. So you just have to really kind of evaluate this in alignment with your priorities and what your values are to say, why am I doing or why am I planning to do what I'm doing? And is it really necessary?
Yeah.
And a lot of time, not a lot of times, but often you can realize, this really, either way, it's not going to make that big of a difference. Take the mental strain and the guilt off and make the best choice for you in the situations you're in.
Okay, I love that. So your challenge, look at something that might be causing some stress and figure out how to renegotiate in a way that feels really good to you. Okay, for the last few minutes of today's podcast, we're going to talk about a membership that Eric and I are brainstorming right now. Should we tell them what it's called?
Yes.
Okay, it's called Arise, ARISE, which stands for something that we're not going to say.
Each
what
letter
it is yet.
stands for something, but we have a little clever way, a fun way of introducing what each of the ideas in Arise actually stands for. As I was thinking about this getting breakfast this morning, I realized we could have called it a lot of things. We could have called it Get Up, Rise, Stand Up and Do Something, but we didn't. Arise actually has some very deep symbolic and kind of personal meaning for April and for us. And so we're excited to talk more about what it means. But, it's not just getting up and doing something. It's not just rising, kind of moving from one level to another. It's arising. It's moving upward, going forward, onward and upward. We believe with kind of purpose, with inspiration, and a lot of kind of things that are going to help us really create and enjoy our best lives, little by little, month by month, year by year.
We did a survey of our Learn to Become community a few months ago and asked, if we were to do some additional coaching or support, what do you need? What could we do for you?
Because for years we've been getting a lot of feedback from people who love the STEP program, who love being part of the Learn to Become community. Like, well, what else is there? Is there more? Like, what else can we do with you guys and do kind of on a regular basis? And so we've been thinking about this for a couple of years at least, if not longer.
Yeah, I have brainstorms from years ago.
Yeah, she's got a lot of sheets and a lot of things that are going to be coming out with this community, with this membership. But this survey really was insightful to help people kind of understand what it is people are looking for. So there were hundreds of answers, but just a few that we grabbed just to share with you guys. People want more energy to do the things they want. They want to be able to keep moving forward, to kind of start that momentum and keep it up in the ways that are meaningful to them. Someone said, I want to feel like I'm progressing and becoming my very best. And we all know that's not going to happen overnight. It's a process, little by little, month by month, year by year. Someone else said they actually want to finish things without dropping the ball on everything else. They want a clear focus in the midst of chaos. Another respondent said we want to clear the clutter and be able to learn how to let go of unnecessary stuff. Physically, yeah,
and
maybe
mentally.
Emotionally, mentally, right? Someone else said, I want to learn to work harder, not smarter.
No, work smarter, not harder. I think I wrote that
April
down.
wrote that down backwards. Someone wants to work harder, not smarter.
I don't want to be smart now. I got that wrong.
So they want to work smarter, not harder, killing themselves, and learn to do the ordinary things better, more simply, right? And I think these are all these, there are lots more that I could read here. Someone else said how to coordinate business tasks, making a meaningful business and a close family, balancing that life and work that often has to happen. And someone else said how to make the maintenance of life secondary and the living of life primary. And I think there are a lot of common themes that kind of go through there.
I think
yeah, a lot of great perspectives and stuff. And so what Arise is really going to be is a way that we can come together as a community and really focus on just different aspects of life. There are so many facets and aspects of life to focus on, and we'll talk about more how that's going to happen. But going aspect or facet by facet and focusing on different resources, frameworks, mindsets, books and speakers and experts out there, and just bringing the very best together simply in a way that's actionable. So without feeling overwhelmed at all, we can all be working together month by month, figuring out how to improve our lives in the areas that are most important to us.
We were just trying to figure out what is the best way that we can serve our Learn to Become community. What's a way that Eric and I can both contribute as we would like in ways that feel exciting to both of us? What's something that can empower our team and empower our community? And what's something that will really work for everyone? Because there's a lot of stuff out there, and we've just been trying to think, what can we offer this community and what can we create?
Well, there's an extra piece to that too. It's not just what can we bring and share. Like, I'm actually really, really excited because there's a lot of kind of one way, like what we've been doing at Learn to Become, a lot of the resources, the podcast, like this is a very one way medium, right? It's kind of going out, but there's not a lot of ways to get feedback there. So some of the things we'll be creating inside of Arise will allow for a very dynamic Facebook group, for example, a lot of exchange. I'd actually like to do some interviews and calls and things like that. We're actually talking to different members who have achieved some success or some growth in an area of their life that they're really proud of and that we think that we and the whole community could benefit from. So it's really a chance to come together as a really fun, energetic, collaborative community and be growing together in the ways that matter most to each of us. And each person is going to define what those areas of growth, what those milestones are going to look like and be, but we can absolutely support and encourage and help each other be accountable to the growth we want to achieve.
So as we think about how to explain Arise, what it's going to be, because we can't just make it feel like, oh, it's just going to solve everybody's problems.
But it might. It just might.
All things to all people. But really, it's something for someone who wants to be able to have a family-centered, productive life where you're simplifying, you're raising your level of living, removing those friction points so that you don't feel like you're always struggling with one thing or another. And we want you to wake up excited, to go to bed content, and feel really proud of yourself and think, I'm doing a good job. And that's how we want to feel each day too. Like we're growing. The community and accountability is going to be huge. And hopefully we can help you to find your own clarity and focus and then be able to maintain that. So we're going to be curating some of the best books and podcasts, ideas from experts, ideas from conferences, and put them out in really simple, easy to implement formats so that you can feel like you have a community supporting you as you're improving every day.
Yeah, we've been building up a lot of things we've been in love with for the last 5 to 10 years. So there's a lot of great things.
We won't throw it all at you.
We're excited to share. So we've got stuff we want to share, but we want to share together and have you guys share things as well. But I think really in a nutshell, I think this is going to be the type of community, the type of membership where people are really excited to be a part of it. There's nothing you have to do. There's no minimum participation level required. It's just come and be part of a community. And I think most human beings really do want to be part of a community that cares about them, that's going to support them and encourage them to help them become the very best person, the best individual, the best spouse or partner, the best parent, the best employee or entrepreneur, whatever it is they're doing, to become the best they're capable of. And that's really what we want to do, is to create this community of people who are looking to learn, to do, to grow, and become together.
So here's what you can do. Number one, you can come to the show notes page for today's episode. If you just go to learndobecome.com/radio, you can see all of our podcasts and you can just click on today's episode. Or what you can do is go to learndobecome.com/arise, ARISE. We're going to have a little waitlist form. So you can just put in your name and email if you want to make sure that you get reminded when we launch, okay? But we're also going to have some more podcasts coming out in the next few weeks explaining what Arise stands for, helping you see a little bit more of the vision, what's inspiring Arise and what we're so excited about. And really, we're excited to be able to get to know you better, to serve you better, and really have a way to bring together this community. Because, here Eric and I are sitting by ourselves in front of a computer and a microphone, and you guys are typically out there in your individual homes or cars or wherever you're listening to this. We want to help bring it all together. And virtually nowadays, we can do that. So we're thrilled for you. Hope that you have a wonderful week. Hope you can renegotiate with yourself and breathe better. And just want to let you know that we're here for you. And we're so grateful that you're here at Learn to Become.
Thank you so much for being with us. You are awesome. Have a great rest of your day.